This is a series of films that tells the history of contemporary fashion photography as seen through the eyes of models. Is there a model that you always wanted to be? Did you, when you started, did you think, I wish I was like her?
Yes, I'm a bit obsessed with Kristen McMenemy.
I
think she's one of the best models in the world.
Excellent, well, I would agree, but
yeah. She is somebody that's ever changing. She's constantly changing. She's a blank canvas. She could be made to be beautiful, and she could be made to be extremely ugly, and she would still fulfill that idea with gusto.
Yeah.
And the way that she is so in tune with her body and so in control was, to me, so visually exciting that I suppose I copied her a bit in the beginning just to try a few moves. But I never get bored of looking at her face. You can't pinpoint Kristen to an era or a time. She is someone to me that's very otherworldly.
Yeah.
And she's someone that thinks her character as opposed to just expresses physically.
Yeah.
Again, it comes back to that mindset thing where she's very emotional, and I love watching her do that.
Yeah. No, she's a fantastic model.
Yeah, and then of course, like every other girl in the country / world, I wanted to look like Kate Moss. So when Kate was Kate in the beginning, I did stupid things like plucked all my eyebrows out and over applied the blusher and and bought some gazelles and a baby doll dress. But of course she looked heavenly and I looked like a drag queen off duty. And you need to learn who you are as a model, because you cannot associate and copy anybody else in the end. As soon as you lack that instinct conviction, then it's very difficult, I think, for a photographer to respond.
I'm sure you know what I'm going to bring up. But
oh, how interesting. I think I just Instagrammed that this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is an embarrassing moment. I go, and what are you thinking? You say, it's not me.
It's Nefertiti.
Yes.
With a sprinkling of me in there somewhere.
So this is an incredible... what did you tell me about it? Let me lead you.
Actually, this was a bloody nightmare to navigate. But aside from that, probably the most sensational thing I will ever wear in this lifetime.
Right.
When someone tells you you're going to play Nefertiti for the day,
right.
That you're kind of struck by an inner turmoil of thinking, oh my God, how do I justify? And then the other part of me is quite stubborn, and I go, right, bring it on. And I've always been a bit geeky in that I like to research my characters behind the scenes before. And for example, Nefertiti had a very, or at least the way she was portrayed and captured in paintings, she had a very proud, elongated, statuesque thing going on. And that's what this outfit is all about. I mean, it's done with a John twist though, isn't it? It's sort of Vegas meets Egypt. And I do remember physically I was probably carrying about 20-30 pounds of extra body weight. And within this huge, great big outfit that you see, I mean, to me, it's like a painting, isn't it? I was wearing a corset underneath, so it was a physical change. It was like that final bit. Do you remember that TV show, the Krypton Factor, where you've got like the physical upheaval at the end?
Yeah.
I had this whole load of weight on me, but I had to look very poised and relaxed and in control. And of course, my breathing was laboured, and the weight distribution was also extraordinary. I don't know if you could see what would you call that exactly?
The top part?
Yeah, the top part.
So diplomatically?
Yes, and then the bottom part. I mean, what is that?
So it's one of Stephen Jones's hats, is my guess.
Stephen Jones, of course. But can you see the weight distribution of how I had to stand just to support that outfit?
Incredible. And I know a little bit about being backstage at a Christian Dior show, because I filmed, but actually it was a Galliano show, but I guess it's a similar sort of thing. It's a circus backstage. And it's probably hundreds of people.
Yes, it's a real spectacle, and that's always what he...
I mean circus in a very nice way. So I didn't mean that in a kind of disorganised way. I mean, it's an event.
It's a spectacle. It's as much... for John, it's always been about as much behind the scenes as the eventuality of the final moment.
Right.
And he too is one of the greatest performers I've ever met, and he gets it. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so when we were getting ready, there would be so many people there that we didn't have the space to rehearse or physically try to manage ourselves. You know, bearing in mind we have sort of slightly laboured breathing and we're wearing weights.
Yeah.
Because there were so many fans and people waiting to catch a glimpse of him.
Yeah.
We never got a rehearsal. With things like that, you go out once and you hope you stay on your feet.
So did you not have a fitting for this? You must have had a fitting.
We had a fitting, but you don't walk around in it. You know, there's no mobility attached to it. So the first time you breathe life into an outfit of that scale is when you walk out in front of a room full of expectant people. Yeah. Yeah. And that pressure is enormous. I always have my ritual where I do a momentary panic in a portaloo somewhere where I just try and channel her. Right. And she's very distinctly detached from me.
Right, okay.
She's a real diva.
Right, okay.
And she does it for herself.
Right.
As much as the people that are there to watch.
Yeah. And how long have you been in hair and makeup? Oh, there's not much hair to be had.
4 hours.
There's a beard.
4 hours. Generally 6 hours in total.
Right.
But yeah, 4 hours in hair and makeup.
And the gold beard is... Tell me a bit about that.
That's what I mean. So you've got this exaggerated crown, can we say?
Yeah.
And then the beard. So you have to learn how to walk again. You literally are learning how to move again. And I don't know if that's really kind of picked up or appreciated by anybody else other than the model. The model is the only person that will really know how that feels. So of course you can have the visual, which starts in the designer's mind, and then it gets transferred onto a piece of paper, and then collectively other people in this kind of, you know, seamstresses will put their stamp on it, and then finally it's made, but it's nothing without a body to embody the spirit of
Well, you're the actress bringing it to life.
That's right.
Your story.
Yeah.
And just before you go on stage, is there a fair amount of fluffing or general kind of... But how are you prepared for that? You just don't walk from your makeup table hair table to on stage. There must be some process that happens. Can you explain that?
Well, for me, it's very personal. I kind of have to shut myself down almost from other people and kind of get into the role. Yeah. That's not meant to sound pretentious because it does, but it commands a lot of adrenaline from you when you know that you are about to step out in that. Yeah. You know, you have to make the appearance worthy because it's fleeting, and that's what a lot of people don't appreciate. Yeah. Is that I always say you've got 30 seconds to get it wrong. Right. Therefore, you try your utmost to really get it right and give them something to remember. It's about creating that memory. Because often they're hidden away again, and you never really see them again. No. And they're archived. And
I think this was the look that summed up that whole show. So I think you were probably the image of the show that went out.
I was the first girl out. Right. And what John did was he put on this visual light show. Yeah. So I was very static, so I had to really get into that pose in the beginning. Yeah. And we hadn't had time to rehearse. And you can see where my back is and where my hips are jutting forward like that. Yeah. And I held that position for a good minute before I was told to walk. And it's, as you said, it's pandemonium. So you know to move when someone goes like this behind the scenes, and then...
But does John come and whisper something in your ear? Did Stephen?
And he's always... John, he would always just sort of, he was like a bystander in the end. I think he was, actually he was really humble and very quiet. And for me, he was always like an excitable child, which I loved. It gives me goosebumps, I think, for him, because I feel like he could never quite believe what he had dreamt up, that somebody else had realised and understood his vision. Yeah. And that's every person that counts, from the hair, from the makeup, from the studio, to every single collaborator, and then finally the model that breathes life into it.
Yeah. Because I filmed a backstage at a Galliano show, and I remember it was a shows about 6 or 7 in the evening. The girls have been there since 6
11
in the morning or whatever.
Yeah. Let's do 6 in the morning. It's more dramatic.
Yes, it's 6 in the morning. But everybody, it's just all little teams of people working around.
Yeah.
There's about 50 girls, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a fair few people working away. And then just before the show, all the girls are lined up.
Yeah.
So you have somebody fairly ferocious on the microphone shouting at you, I guess.
Yeah. You block that noise out.
Okay.
It's noise.
I won't tell them.
Yeah. You kind of know where you need to be, but in order to kind of survive the pandemonium, that's what I mean by shutting down. It's not being engaged in what I'm doing. I really believe in it, but you have to cancel everything out around you.
Yeah.
In the end, I do anyway. Otherwise, if I went out there as me, I would be. I don't know how I would be actually.
Yeah. And so you're in the lineup, you're waiting to go on. How long are you in that lineup for?
15 minutes.
Right.
Which isn't a long period of time, but it is when you're constricted into a 16-inch corset.
Yeah. Sure.
And your body as you know it has morphed into something else. And it's hot, and you haven't a moment just to conceal your anticipation or your adrenaline from photographers and prying lenses and everybody else that's there. So that bit before is maddening to me because I always went in and I always go in never been quite sure I'm going to nail it, and that is what keeps me going.
Yeah.
But the anticipation of when you get on the stage and you deliver is my addiction. That's the only addiction I picked up in my life. And you said is modelling addictive, and I don't think you can coin it. You can't label it as being a model. That happens to be my medium, if you will. But when you find something so difficult, or the idea of something so potentially terrifying, and you master it and you manage it and you prevail, it's a kind of feeling of transcendence.
Yeah.
You know, and just for a moment, otherworldliness, which is something I think as an industry we're criticised for. But for me personally, I'm happy with me. I'm really, really, really comfortable. And eventually, the more extreme you go with this idea of fantasy, the more you are led back to yourself and exactly who you are. So those fleeting moments of glory or, you know, exercising political points or performance are really wonderful. But it is a moment, and then you're led back to your life, you know.
And let's be pragmatic about it. How much of a moment is it? I mean, how long are you out there for?
30 seconds. So you've got to make it count.
And what are you thinking as you're walking down a catwalk? Are they recognisable thoughts, or are they thoughts that you feel are just emotions rather than thoughts?
When I walk down a catwalk like that, I can't remember what I was thinking when I come off. I don't know. The adrenaline is the drug. You have no memory of what you have just done.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, the movement really helps me. It calms me, no matter how extreme and dynamic it is. It gives me purpose, and yet I don't need to see it again when I've come off. I don't think I've ever consciously watched myself in a show.
Right.
Never.
Right.
2 reasons. I'm quite self-critical.
Yeah.
Not in a way that I think, oh, I wish I was this and not that. I'm a perfectionist, so I could always find something to tweak.
Right.
Or I should have just angled that leg or that back, or God, I could have just gone for it a bit more.
Yeah.
So I just think, okay, I was there in the moment, move on, next.
So who are you performing for? The cameras at the end of the catwalk? What are you aware of?
It's the room.
The room,
you know, it's the swell of the room. You don't leave anybody out.
Yeah.
You want to excite, you want to kind of invigorate, you want to put life into something, because it is fleeting.
Right.
And so it's for the people whose eyes are kind of on the monitor backstage. It's for the people that you saw hoovering 3 hours ago trying to get the carpet spruced up before the show. It's for John. It's for the audience. And also, obviously, the flashes at the end of the catwalk help, but they're bloody distracting. You know, that's a time when you can lose your balance and topple.
Right.
So it's never really about the end of the catwalk. It's the embodiment of the room, I think.
Right. So are you aware of individual characters? Do you spot Susie Menkes, Leon Talley, Hamish Bowles, Anna Wintour.
Occasionally you do, but I just sort of can't get involved because maybe I do take it too seriously. I don't know, but I'm up there in that moment, and I steal it, and I embrace every moment of it.